You've left the vault, weapon in hand, feeling like a peacock in your new shiny vault suit, a full set of leather armour and a fancy Vault-Tec backpack. You've all the gear, just no idea what to do. In this video, I'm going to show you a brilliant route to take starting directly from Vault 76 that will help set you up with all the essentials you'll need to build a successful strong character, give you a great farming spot for some early legendary weapons and armour, and an awesome area to set up your first camp that will give you many advantages right up until late game. However, before we start, let's just quickly cover some of the basics you'll need to know that will make your life easier and the game more enjoyable. Firstly, and most importantly, don't worry about which starter option you've chosen, where you've put your special points, or what perk card you chose, as once you reach level 25 you'll get the option to completely respec your character as much as you want for free, so you can change all your special point allocations, perk card choices, and even create different character builds that you can easily switch between if you want to create different loadouts. For example, a heavy gunner build using a flamer, a build that utilises power armour, or a light armoured sneaky sniper. The choices are honestly endless, and there is no right or wrong way to do something. Although once you reach late game there are more specialised builds, including additional legendary perk cards that will help you min-max your character, ensuring you get the best out of your chosen weapons and armour. But honestly, don't worry about any of that right now. Just have fun and try out everything you come across. Once you leave the vault, the game will try and pull you straight into the main quest, but I'd advise to hold off just a little bit until you've got a feel for things, had some target practice, experienced the combat, stamina drain, and how long it takes to reload your damn weapon. One important thing to note, regardless of whether you have chosen to start as a fresh dweller at level 2 or a battle ready dweller at level 20, all enemies will scale to your level, so please bear this in mind, as a level 20 super mutant will kill you pretty damn quick even if you have a load of fancy perk cards and a shiny gun. PvP will be turned off as standard, so don't worry, other players can't harm you, even if you run through their camp and pinch a cheeky tater or two. However, if you try to take over a previously claimed workshop, this will activate PvP in that specific zone, but don't worry, once you get to that point, you'll know what you're doing. Main quests, side quests, daily quests, and any info relating to a quest will show up in the top right of the screen, which at the start can get confusing once you start adventuring and unlocking more activities. However, this is easily solved. Simply enter your Pip-Boy menu and tab across to data. You can activate or deactivate any quests that show up, which will really help to make things less confusing. Personally, I like to use this view of the Pip-Boy as it's easier to see if an enemy is making a beeline to eat your face, but you can easily switch the view by pressing the view button when in the Pip-Boy menu if you prefer the more immersive arm view. There are other options for colours, HUD styles, etc. that can be found in the game settings menu and personalised at any time. Before you go anywhere, enter the social menu, and at the top right you'll have the option to join a public team or create one of your own. Being on a public team rewards you with various bonuses for certain activities. There are a maximum of 4 players per team, and honestly don't worry, you're not expected to play with or talk to anyone, unless you've selected the more specific daily ops or expeditions team where participation is expected. To begin with, just join a casual team or create your own. A casual team will reward you with bonus intelligence up to a maximum of +4 for a fully bonded team. Once 4 players have been in a team for 5 minutes, a bond symbol will show over the player's name in the lower left team window. The higher your intelligence level at 76, the higher your XP gain per kill, and therefore this extra bonus can be very useful to aid you with levelling up. When in a team, you'll also notice that when you enter the map, your team members' camps and survival tents will turn yellow, and you'll be able to fast travel to them for free, regardless of where they are on the map. I'd advise to do this whenever you join a new team, if only to unlock new map locations. This will enable future fast travel to a wider area of the map, saving you a load of time walking. There are several locations on the map that are always free to fast travel. The most obvious is Vault 76, but others include the faction bases, Crater and Foundation, and the Whitesprings Mile and Refuge, although you will need to have visited them first to unlock the fast travel option. With all that information out the way, let's start the route and I'll explain the rest as we go. Exiting the vault, take a direct left and follow the path down into the woods. There are a couple of feral ghouls you need to deal with on the way, but at the bottom of the dip you'll come across a ritual bonfire, where you'll find a corpse with a weapon and some ammo. Head northwest and you'll see a shopping trolley and a campfire. Here you should find your first random recipe. Learn this, and then head north towards a small shack. There'll be 3 random low-level enemies you'll need to take out, but once you're done, loot the entire building and surrounding area. If you forgot to rest before you left the vault, then utilise the bunk bed to have a quick nap, which will give you the well-rested buff. This gives an extra 5% XP gain that'll last for 120 minutes. However, bear in mind this will reset on death. Now, head back to the campfire next to the shopping trolley and use this to prepare some food and drinks for your travels. Every time you craft an item at the cooking station, it'll grant you a small amount of XP, so it's always worth collecting the meat from your kills and cooking it. Remember, you'll need to collect wood for the fire and for building later on, so get into the habit of picking this up from the fallen logs along your journey. Grilled Radstag is great early on, as it'll give you an increase to your carry weight by £20 and lasts for 1 hour. Although when fresh out of the vault you'll have 2 hours where your food and drink stats do not degrade, you can still eat and drink to gain the different buffs that you can see against the item or in the stats tab of your Pip-Boy. Before you head out, ensure to eat and drink whatever items you've just made that will give you the best buffs. Food and drink is in the same category, and although you can use multiple different items at the same time to get the different buffs, do keep in mind that if you have 2 food or drink items with the same effect, the second one will override the first. For example, later on you'll acquire recipes like Cranberry Relish that'll give you an additional high XP boost, but this can be cancelled out by another food or drink item that gives a much lower XP buff, so just be careful. You'll have started with a bunch of different chems, so don't be afraid to use them as you'll find plenty more around the wasteland. Just bear in mind that you can only have one active at once, so choose wisely. There are a few exceptions, but at this stage don't worry about that. Your stimpaks will automatically be on the quick menu, but I'd advise to keep these for use only when in combat, and use food and rest to replenish your health when it's safe to do so otherwise, as you won't be able to craft stimpaks straight away and you don't want to run out. The next location we're going to visit will bring you into contact with some much harder enemies, but as we're so close to the vault, don't worry if you die. As although on death you'll lose your rested buff, you can quickly get this back by resting at the shack, and your dropped loot will be marked and shown on your map. Make your way east up the hill towards a large tower called North Kanawha Lookout. Your best strategy here is to crouch and creep toward the tower so you unlock the location's fast travel point, to make things easier if you die. Then fall back and draw out your enemies. So equip the weapon with the most damage per shot, make sure you're fully loaded, and start shooting. If you die, honestly don't worry. This is a great practice early on with one of the harder groups of enemies, and it's so close to the vault it won't cost you any caps to respawn at the tower. So just rinse and repeat until the enemies are all down. Super mutants will give the most XP on kill, so if you can remember to get that rested buff before the fight, it's worth it. There will be a lot of loot on these corpses, so to save time you can collect all the items from all nearby corpses at once by pointing at a corpse and pressing the nearby corpses button. This will bring up a list of everything, so you can either be picky or just hit the take all button. Before you head up to the tower, you'll see a green portaloo. Check on its roof and you'll find a key to the safe that's in the tower. Make your way up the tower, ensuring to loot everything you can see, including the disgusting hanging meat bags, as these can contain a fair bit of ammo. Once at the top, make your way out to any corner of the lookout tower's exterior platform, and you'll get the message to survey the area. This will add a bunch of locations to your map, and although they'll be greyed out, it will help by marking useful points of interest. You should get 10 new locations added to your map, but you might need to walk to each corner of the platform for them to fully all load. There are many more of these lookout towers around Appalachia, so ensure to do this whenever you see one. At this point you may find that you're encumbered, but don't worry. Head south toward the neighbouring building, explore the house and loot everything. If you see a settler, interact, as they may give you an item or be an ally that you can have at your camp. To get inside the house you'll want to head under the decking, where there's also a level 0 safe that you can practice your lockpick skills on, as you'll have started with a load of bobby pins. Enter through the broken floor, loot the place, and then use the door to exit onto the decking. Against the house is a workbench that you can use to scrap all your junk, duplicate weapons and armour. Do be a little careful when scrapping weapons, as some that you pick up may be above your character level, and therefore you don't want to end up with nothing you can use. Every time you scrap a weapon or armour piece, you'll have the chance to unlock a mod associated with that item, although leather armour pieces can unlock mods for other pieces in the set, so an arm may unlock a leg mod, etc. However, weapon mods are specific to the weapon scrapped. At this point, there is no need to hang on to any high level weapons, as you can't use them, they weigh a lot, and as enemies will level to you, once you get to level 5, which is the next weapons level, you'll be collecting a load anyway. Once you're done, continue south until you see a shack with a bicycle. You'll probably encounter some enemies, but also the chance to see another settler, so interact if you get the option. Once clear, head west towards the cow image on the map. Here you'll find a small lookout tower with a bed and a cooking station. If you died previously, this is a good spot to rest and regain the XP buff. Please note that sleeping on a sleeping bag on the floor does have the chance to contract a disease, although you should still have a good amount of disease resistance from being well fed and hydrated, so don't worry too much about this. Now head west until you reach a Moonshiner's shack. On approach, there'll be an attack of ticks. so help defend the settlers, then interact with both of them, and you may get a chance to gain some settler reputation for helping them out. Reputation is earned for both the two factions, settlers and raiders, and will be required to unlock items later on, so it's a good idea to start early, as this takes a long time to earn the positive reputation required, but is essential for endgame. You'll find an array of junk and food items and a workbench at the end hut for scrapping. You might find another recipe laying on the table or inside the blue box next to the cooking station, so learn this and then head west up the hill. At the top of the hill there's a new location, manned by the Brotherhood of Steel recruits, called Forward Station Tango. Here you'll find workbenches and a load of loot, so clear the place out and scrap down all your junk. If you have a Fallout First subscription, then this would be a great time to place down your survival tent and empty your junk and sort your inventory into stash blocks. If you don't have a Fallout First, it's probably time to eat some grilled Radstag to increase your carry rate so we can move on to the next location. Head north along the top of the cliff until you reach a sandwich board with a creepy picture of a winged skull with clawed feet. This should unlock the location to Organ Cave South. At this point, we won't be entering the cave as you'll want to come here with an empty rucksack, so head east up the hill until you see a tent. Be on your guard as ghouls will spawn here, but there's a reason for coming to this spot. Next to the campfire, you should find a pump-action shotgun lying on the floor, and although it will be a level 5 weapon, this is a powerful and faster weapon to have early on. Please note that if you find you are becoming encumbered, check your food and drink, as these weigh a lot. An early game you won't have the weight reduction perks, so eat anything that's cooked and don't be afraid to drop that 20 raw mole rat meat you're carrying or 30 dirty water, as you can easily get more and it's not worth using up your carrying capacity. Now, check your weapons, equip your hunting rifle and make sure it's loaded. Moving north up the hill, enter crouch, and when you see the word caution in red at the top of your screen, you'll be in range of enemies. Use your VATS to highlight and take out the raiders that are around this location, then head east and clear the area below Vault 76, grabbing all the junk you can find. Now from the vault, head north. On your compass you'll see an outline of 3 buildings. This is the Settlers Outpost called Settlers Ridge, and it's a great location to unlock as it has all the different workbenches and a ton of scrap, including a power armor station with a partially complete suit. Although you'll not be able to use the power armor pieces that are attached, it's worth taking the frame, so simply interact and transfer the option to remove the pieces. The power armor pieces are not worth keeping and are very heavy, so just scrap them as they're not hard to find later on anyway. You'll now be able to enter the power armor frame, which will provide you with a good boost to your carrying capacity if you become over encumbered. I would not advise to wear it at this point unless you need to, as all movement will drain the fusion core that will only have a minimal charge anyway, and at this stage they're hard to find. So exit out to the frame by holding the enter button. Don't worry if you forget to pick up the frame, as after a short while it'll automatically transfer into your inventory. Clear the area of junk, keeping an eye out for plans and recipes, although if you find a weapon or armor plan, only learn the ones that are for your items you might want to use. If you're not sure, it's best just to take the plan and keep it safe. The reason for this is that when you find and kill a legendary enemy, they'll drop either a legendary weapon, piece of armor, or power armor, but this will be influenced by the items you know or how to craft. Therefore, if you only learn the plans for the items you want, you'll have a greater chance of getting legendary versions of those items. By now you should have reached level 5, which will enable you to start to use the higher level items you've picked up, and most importantly that pump action shotgun, although at the moment you probably won't have any ammo for it, but we'll come to that shortly. At level 5 you can now also disable pacifist mode in the settings to enable player combat, although don't worry, it will be turned off as standard. If you open your Pip-Boy and go to the Perks tab, you should have a few level ups available. You'll get the option to open your perk card pack, so select yes. Once this is played out, it'll ask you to assign the perk points to a special stat you want. Now, this is a little confusing, and at this point you probably won't know where you want to add the points, so hit the back button and it'll display all the perk card spaces you currently have. You'll now be able to look through the perk cards you've just received and see if there are any available to be assigned. If there is a card available, then it will display as the unused point in the corresponding special. Some perk cards will be level locked, so you can't yet apply them. So apply what you can and then have a look at where you might want to put your points. To give a brief overview, Strength will help increase your carry weight and the strength of your melee attacks. Perception will help with your weapon accuracy when using VATS, which stands for Vault-Tec Automated Targeting System. Endurance will affect your overall health and your resistance to disease. Charisma will affect your leadership and has a good bonus for XP gain from the inspirational perk card, which I chose at the start, but also enables you to get better cap prices from vendors. Intelligence will affect the condition and durability of items you craft, and XP when you kill enemies. Agility will directly affect your action points, which is your stamina, when using VATS, and your ability to sneak. And finally, Luck, which will affect the condition and durability of the items you loot, the recharge rate of critical hits, but also has some very useful perk cards later on that will enable you to lock in any mutations you pick up to harness their positive effects. I would highly recommend taking a look at the Nukes Dragons website, link is in the description, where you can make your own Fallout 76 special build, selecting all the different perk cards you want, and it'll then give you a leveling roadmap, showing you where to take which perk, and in what order. You can also look at the different mutations you can get, their effects, and also the legendary perk cards that become available at level 50+. Once you've selected what you want, head north towards Anchor Farm to unlock the location. You'll need to come back to this location later in the main story, so it'll be good to have this fast travel location already unlocked. We're now going to head towards Tyler County Fairground, but before we go on the rides, we're going to head to the Tyler County Dirt Track on the other side of the road and claim the workshop. This will enable us to set up a temporary base to scrap and store our junk, especially if you don't have a full out first, so we can place a stash box to sort your excess chems, food, etc. Before you can claim the workshop, you'll need to clear the enemies. You'll know once you've got them all, as a pop-up notification will appear telling you that the workshop is available to claim, so head over to the red bench and claim the workshop. Claiming a workshop will cost you 25 caps, but you will receive a load of useful junk and a random plan. You can now enter the build menu and place some items. For now, I'd just put down a stash box, a scrap box if you have Fallout first, a weapons workbench and a cooking station, as these will all use valuable materials and you don't need much at this point. Scrap and sort your inventory, storing all junk or on items that you're not going to need. After a while, the workshop will become under attack and you'll be tasked with protecting it from a random enemy horde with several waves. Once you've completed this, you'll be awarded further items. Collect the loot from the enemies, scrap and store it, then ensure to pick up the level 5 pump action shotgun you acquired from earlier. Now, although you still probably won't yet have any ammo for it, all that will change shortly, so equip another weapon and make your way across the road to the fairground. You'll want to head around the right hand side toward the back of the site, where you'll find an open barn type building with metal barriers. Once you reach the building, ensure you've dealt with the enemies in the immediate vicinity, and before you enter, equip the pump action shotgun, regardless of whether you have no shells. Then go to the large green box. When you interact, you should find the ammo for the weapon you are holding, hence it's important to equip the pump action shotgun before interaction. Ensure to load the weapon, and you've just got yourself some decent firepower. In my opinion, shotguns are great in Fallout 76, as although you don't have as much range as a rifle, you should be able to gain back more shells than you use per kill, enabling you to secure enough ammo to not have to worry about running out. It's a good idea early on to also keep a hunting rifle on you for a ranged damage, and also a melee weapon, in case of emergency, as this will be quicker in close combat. Keep an eye out for magazines and bobbleheads, and pick them up, but do not use them. I was lucky enough to find the holy grail of magazines from recording this route, Live and Love 3, so I'll definitely be saving that one for later. And right on cue we have the event Leader of the Pack appear. I'd suggest using this event to farm for legendary weapons and armour that you can use or turn into currency script at specific legendary vending machines. This can then be exchanged later on at a specific vendor called the Purveyor, located at the Rusty Pick in the Ash Heap. The Leader of the Pack event is easy to complete, but will require a few fast travel locations to be unlocked to make life easier, but these locations will also serve another purpose. You'll be tasked with killing 3 Wolfpack leaders, each of which is in a different location that are marked on your map. You have 20 minutes from the start of the event to kill the 3 leaders, which should give you plenty of time. Each leader is a 1-star legendary enemy, and on death will drop a random 1-star legendary weapon, armour or power armour piece. These will be your level and might enable you to get a decent upgrade to your weapon or armour, as even though there are only 1-star pieces, some of the base legendary effects can be very useful. We'll first head toward the nearest pack leader, as they do not need to be done in order. This will enable us to unlock the fast travel location of the relay tower, which has an image on the map. I'd advise to use whatever melee weapon you have available on the wolves, as they are quick to move about, so you may waste a lot of ammo and not hit much. It should be fairly easy to take these out pretty quick, so once done, move to the next pack and repeat. Their location will show on the compass at the bottom of the screen, and when you are close, a golden diamond should appear over the Wolfpack leader. You should by now have 2 legendary items, so if either one is useful, then equip it and make your way up to the remaining Wolfpack leader that's always located at Aaronholt Homestead. Once you've completed this, you may get an additional event called Wolf Horde the Forest, but this does not have a timer, so for now just to ensure to unlock the fast travel point at the homestead and clear the buildings. There is an armour workbench in the barn that you can use to scrap items and junk, enabling you to fast travel back to the workshop, as by this time it will have been probably taken over by a random group of enemies, which will show as an event to retake your workshop. Before you go, note that this farm is one of the few locations on the map that you can find cranberries. Once you find the recipe for cranberry relish, you'll need to come here to farm these in order to make this, as they can't be grown in your camp. Cranberry relish gives a large XP bonus and is one of the best foods for use with levelling, as its effects can be enhanced with the herbivore mutation later on. Unfortunately, this recipe is a random spawn and has no set place to be purchased, but you may find it for sale in other player vendors for caps. If you're still encumbered and don't have anything else you want to drop or scrap, this is where you can utilise your power armour frame. Place it down and enter the frame. This will increase your carry weight and should enable you to fast travel. If for any reason you didn't pick one up before, there's another power armour frame located just across the field in the barn along with a workbench and some more useful junk. Now, head back to the workshop and defeat the enemies to complete the Reclaim Workshop event. You'll be awarded some random junk, chems, ammo and a plan. Use your workshop to sort your inventory and scrap any other items you don't want. Now we're heading back to a nearby resource node to set up your first base of operations, and in my opinion it's one of the best starter locations to put your camp for a number of reasons. You want to head south along the road toward what looks like a pile of rocks on the map. Just before you reach the location, you'll see a junction in the road. Head down to the waterline and look for a junk pile near the water's edge. Open your Pip-Boy and select to place your camp. You'll want to place this down so that the junk pile is in your buildable base area. You should be able to see this easier if you go into the free cam mode. However, if you've already placed it and need to move it, this is possible, but it will cost you a few caps. Once you place your camp near a resource node, you'll get the plans for an extractor added to your buildable items, located under resources. It'll require 10 power to operate, so you'll need to build some generators as well, but it's well worth setting this up. Whilst you're off exploring, this extractor will collect a large amount of useful junk required for repairs to your weapons and armour and construction in your camp. Having a camp near the water is also useful, as you'll find many of the ingredients required to make a number of items, including healing salve. It's pretty easy to make and will help save your stimpaks. This location also sits nicely between the fairground and the vault for ease of free fast travel, and also right next to two of the spawn points for the Leader of the Pack event, giving you a hand with your legendary farming. The final thing I want to cover are train stations. As there are none in your immediate vicinity, I'd recommend visiting as many of your team's camps as you can to unlock the nearby locations. This will help you build a network of fast travel points, although do be a little careful wandering about in the higher level areas. Many people will place their camps near stations, so it shouldn't be long before you can find one to unlock the fast travel point for. This will then give you access to the legendary exchange vending machines, and then use to exchange at the purveyor for either random legendary weapons, armour or power armour pieces, vault steel or legendary cores that will enable you to craft your own legendary weapons and armour pieces. You can also sell your unwanted food, apparel and unwanted weapons to the train station vendor. All train stations have a stash box that is linked to yours, so you don't have to worry about carrying everything there either. One other thing to keep an eye out for is a donation box. These are red crates and located at every train station and many other faction locations. These donation boxes offer a place for people to put unwanted items to help others, so please feel free to take what you need, and when you're able, just pay back the favour and keep the good times rolling. I hope this video was helpful to give you a great start in 76, provided you with a little bit more knowledge about the game and set you up with a great starter base location, legendary farming event and location for mighty cranberries. If you haven't already, do ensure to subscribe to my channel for more Fallout 76 content and remember to hit that like button. I'm Golden Gek and have fun. See ya.